About forgot my mic. Oh, well, I was running a little bit late. Sorry, just a couple minutes, I think. I can't find my yeah, about 2 minutes. Oh, well. Sorry. I'm kinda giving it a minute to see if the notifications go out and anybody pops in. So far, I've just got a couple of you here. It says 3, but that there might be more than that. And it just doesn't yeah, see, it's already picking more up. Hey, Creepy B5, good to see you. Hadn't seen you in a little while. Panda Kelly, good to see you. Thank you for being a member. Hef, Evie, Marilee, good to see all of you. Some of my favorite people. Oh, my hair is like I was laying down, and so my hair got poofy on one side and flat on the other. Yeah, I've been really missing Creepy B. She hasn't been usually she is in the replay if nothing else, and she hasn't been there either, so I've been worried about it. Thanks, my hair, yeah, it's a little crazy. I got just a wild hair and decided that I needed some crazy colors, so I put this, magenta in it? I don't know. It's kinda crazy, but it's one of those, it'll wash out after a few washings, so not a big deal. I'm one of those people that I don't worry about haircuts or hair colors or, that kinda stuff because it's temporary. So, anyway, not sure what's going on. So, it's been a couple days since I've been here. It feels like a lot longer. Nova Haven, good to see you. Yeah. Sue B, good to see you. Carrie, good to see you. Trying to make sure I don't miss anybody. It's not going to be a real long live today, so that'll be good. We're just going to talk a little bit about Never in Aaron. Hey, um, it's it's just kind of about do we think that cult leaders, not the cult members, but the actual cult leaders, do you think that they can be deprogrammed? I mean, I I know that they do it some with cult members, and there's a difference between deprogramming and actual like just exit counseling and stuff. So, and we're going to kind of go into that and the difference in it and everything. And I'm really interested. Hey, the one true Morp's good to see you. Still at work, but present. Present and accounted for. Yeah. Oh, and I don't care if you misspell my name. Never in Aaron. I really don't. I really don't. Whenever I was in elementary school, there were literally like 7, I think, Susies in our class, and I think every one of us spelled it a different name. One of them was a Susan, but we all spelled it different. It was just like, okay. I'm like, well, at least the teacher, if she could connect the spelling with the student, then she could kind of keep track of, like, if she saw our papers, of course, our last names too. But when we first started out in school, like, kindergarten, first grade, we we weren't very good at putting our last name on there. Sometimes it just might have mine had a T, but so did another girl. Her last name was Torres and mine was Thurman. So we both had T. So it was a mess. I don't know why I'm worrying about that. Is anyway. So anyway, hey Joel. Just saying I don't get upset if people misspell my name. So anyway, I think I'm gonna go ahead. Do the leaders even believe that's my point, Evie, is do the leaders even believe the teachings to need to be deprogrammed? And that's a point that I'm gonna kind of go into also. I think that kind of depends on the specific leader. Are they a leader that um dreamed up this whole thing? Or are they somebody that came to it, later that maybe they are a true believer and then the leader died and so they began being the leader. And so then maybe, but I still just don't know. I just don't know. And there was sadly, spoiler alert. I'm really bad about these spoiler alerts, y'all. It's like, you know, yeah, yeah, it can be. The MAGA thing can be a lot like a cult, especially with some. The ones that are like really, really, it's just like any um group think kind of thing. It could be either party, but anytime that there's like a group that's like the far right or the far left, and so I think that can breed cult behaviors for sure. Yeah. Sue B says there were a lot of Susans, Susies, and Sues in my elementary school. Yeah, we must be close to the same age. I am 58. So, yeah, 58. I will be 59 in June on the 7th, actually. So, but y'all, I'm going to go ahead and get started. I tried to give it just a few minutes for the algorithm to pop in and the, notifications to go out. But a lot of on these, we end up with a lot when I'm talking about Scientology stuff, we end up a lot on the replay. Uh, yeah. So, y'all, I haven't got it listed yet, but on, Sunday, I believe at 2 o'clock Central, we're going to have a members only live chat. So for the ones of you that are members, we will have that, and my mods are gonna be with me on the screen, and we're just gonna talk and answer questions and whatever. Just, kind of a get to know people kinda thing. It's my first doing any kind of a members only, so I'm gonna do that. It will be released at a later time, for everybody is the plan. So, you're not gonna miss it. It's just, the live part will be for members only. So, you were in the first batch of Susans? I don't know. I think it depends on where you lived and stuff too, because, like, my mom said that she had just barely ever even heard the name Susie, but then, I kid you not, she saw, like, a few days before I was born, y'all, or the day before I was born, she, she saw those Suzy Q's, those chocolate cakes, and she liked the way that she liked the spelling, and she liked those cakes. Which I told her, I said, "Thanks a lot. You've made it where I'm, like, addicted to chocolate." Nova says, "Some people consider Pentecostal to be a cult, but I think the leaders do believe Scientology. I don't think David Miscavige believes." Yeah, yeah. I understand that. I really do. I'm looking for people, if anybody, is interested or knows anybody or whatever. I'm looking for people that are that were former Jehovah Witness or Mormons or are now and wanna talk, come on camera and do a little live with me. I'm really interested because so many people say that the Jehovah Witness and the Mormons, are both cults, and I hear what I hear. Excuse me. I wiped my lipstick off on this one a while ago, but I'm gonna have to just rub my nose a little. It itches. But anyway, I want to know myself. I want to talk to people that, that were in either of those religions and get your opinion on it. Either way, you know, either way. If you think it's a cult, I'd like to know. If you don't think it's a cult, I'd like to know. So if you've had any experience with them or with, other um high control religions, um I'd really be interested in talking to you. So I'm trying to get to where we do at least a couple shows a week where we have guests on because I just think that those are so fun and I think that it really lets everybody get a chance to get to know some of the other people that are in our little group here, and I don't know, I just think that it can be a a huge learning curve for all of us, and, if any of you were in Scientology and you wanna talk or you have a story about family members or anybody that was in anything, if you've got, knowledge of it, of any high control religion, I really, really, really would like to talk to you. So, anyway, I'm gonna get started before I get in trouble. I don't think Mischief is here, so maybe she can't get me in trouble today. So, anyway, I know that we often talk about deprogramming and, about deprogramming cult members, but I really want to talk today about the potential to deprogram cult leaders. And do we think that it's possible to deprogram a cult member? Do we think that it's possible to deprogram a cult leader? Do we think it's ethical? Um, Legal? There's just a lot of things that I wanna kinda look into, but I'm kinda trying to cram it into not such a long deal, and because I wanna talk to you all and see what you think. So, I'm missing it somewhere. Somebody gifted 5 memberships, so thank you. I'm not seeing who it was. I, oh, Marilee, thank you so much. It had scooched on past it, so I somehow missed it. Thank you so much. That is so kind. So, anyway, I really do. I wanna look into the whole thing about yeah, I don't think it's legal, Marilee says. You know, that's kinda true. In some places it is, sorry, and in some places it's not. So, anyway, the professionals claim that it is possible, but it also has potential ethical or legal considerations. And they didn't say consequences, they said considerations, so, I think they said it that way because you need to consider basically if it's legal where you're at too. How do I become a member? Ugh, that I am so terrible at. I know if you go on like a computer or a laptop that you can and I didn't put that was the thing I was gonna do and I forgot. I got to make notes for myself. But if you go on an actual computer or laptop, I don't think you can do it on a, phone or even a maybe not even a tablet, I'm not for sure. But anyway, you have to open up the actual YouTube app, or you can punch it in and just say, "How do I become a member on a YouTube channel?" or something, and it'll take you to a place where you can do it, and you just punch in the channel, and you can do it that way. But I don't know why iPhone doesn't let you do it. I know that Androids, you can just do it right on your phone, but, um, for some reason, iPhones don't let you do it. But you might try to just go to my actual channel and not just to where the live is, but go to my actual channel. And, yeah. Yeah, see, she's saying Marilee's saying that on her tablet, there's a dollar sign beside the chat, and that, that'll give you the opportunity to do it, but mine doesn't. Mine doesn't do that. I have the dollar sign on on my iPad, but when I do it, it just lets me do super chats or stickers, I think. Yeah, it won't let me do, because I'm always having to be like, if I wanna go join one." "Hey, Conda, good to see you." We're just barely getting started. I'm still kinda yapping my jaws. So, yeah, if anybody knows, like, if you could find a link for that or something, but I think you have to go yeah, you use an iPhone. Well, you might try it on a tablet, but you have to go to the actual, you know, app, not just I mean, like, to the website, and then you have to, yeah, Marilee, you're an Android. You have to go to my actual channel. You can't just, like, do it on a video. So, I hope that helps. I let me write that down really quick. I'm sorry, guys, but link Member tab. Okay. I wrote it really big and put a whole bunch of exclamation marks and lines under it. So when I get off of here, I will try to go do that if nothing else and put it in the about part or a link in the comments, something. I'll try to do something and then make it more permanent. But I think if you go maybe on your tablet, but I'm not 100% sure. I think it's so ridiculous and I hate that Apple, you would think Apple, you know? Aw. Is it Dido? How do you I don't know how you say that name, but you're welcome. You're absolutely welcome here. Great to see you. Great, positive, and caring space. We have got the absolute best people here, and there's usually more here, but, this is kind of a, strange day. Yeah. But, anyway, yeah, I don't recognize your name, but I am glad you're here. I just love that. Absolutely love it. So, anyway, back to this, I guess. So most professionals, they think that it is possible, but they want you, to consider the Dee. Okay, Dee. I will I'll remember that. You'd be surprised. I actually am pretty good at remember, most of the time. Until my chemo brain kicks in. Ugh. But I really do. I have some serious questions about it. And spoiler alert, I haven't found one single professional deprogrammer that has cited everything. Hey, Nicole, about having proof that they have successfully deprogrammed a cult leader. So while we're talking about that, just keep that in mind that so far if it's out there, hey, heat my shorts. I'm I would love to see it because I can't find it anywhere. Hey Ben, good to see you. So, but I know that it can work. And the way that I know that it can work with cult members. Now there's proof of it working there. But as far as cult leaders, I just think that's a different animal completely. But I know that it can work with cult members because, as some of you know, I have a friend from high school that got involved with the Branch Davidians, and his family literally kidnapped him and took him out. Well, they didn't do it; they hired somebody to do it. It was quite a deal. I mean, like, it was bad. It was dangerous. There was, guns and, all these the black ops looking outfits, and they snuck in there at Waco and got him. And not real long before all this happened, all the horror of that. But anyway, so, they successfully kidnapped him out, and they sent him to a deprogrammer, and then lots and lots and lots of counseling afterwards and everything, and he's great. He came through it not unscathed, but, really, really came through it great. He's married, they have children, and they're teenage children or early adults, and he lives a fantastic, fantastic life. But I often think of him whenever he was a lot of the catapult for me, going and just, like, put me over, to get me to go over, um to start trying to really fight Scientology was because I just couldn't ever quit thinking about him, and so when I got to a point in my life and everything and found SPTV with all of these, 2nd and 3rd gens and everybody and Never Ends and everybody, yeah, a real success story. It is a real success story. It is amazing. I'm trying not to cry because and he was, like, the most popular guy in school, absolutely gorgeous, smart, huge, sports, like, he had it all, y'all. So, that's whenever, people talk about that there's something wrong with people that join cults. I'm like, "No, there's not." I mean, there was absolutely nothing wrong with him. I couldn't find anything. He just was looking for answers. He just was not getting the answers that he wanted from our local church, and he was looking, and he found them, but they were the wrong ones. But y'all, I have searched and searched and searched, and I've not been able to find a cult leader that has been successfully deprogrammed. So, anyway, my thought and the professionals, because 'cause they're not necessarily doctors, but they are professional deprogrammers. So they go, they take classes and they learn all this stuff to learn how to actually deprogram someone from a cult or something like that, and it's kind of interesting, but it's scary to me. But anyway, they say that the leader is more than likely that they know that everything is BS. They know it's not real. Especially if they're the ones that started the the cult, then they know I've made this crap up. Now, some of them, on the other hand, are kind of delusional, and oh yeah. Anyway, they're kind of delusional, and they believe their own hype. They believe that they are the second coming of Jesus or something. Some of them. And then there are some that, like, LRH started Scientology, but then David Miscavige has now taken it over after LRH died. So some, whenever they're the second or third or whatever person that comes in to become the leader, because some of these cults have went for hundreds of years, not like, they're not all like Scientology where they're really kind of new, because this has only been around since the 50s. So hey, buckled up, good to see you. Um, so it just kind of depends. I think that it depends on their situation with if they believe it, on whether it's even possible at all to deprogram them. So I did look up deprogramming, and I found some facts that I'd like to share. So, and these are quick. I'm not going to, go into them in depth, but I do want to share them. So it says, what is deprogramming? It says, while professional deprogrammers don't publish a step-by-step tutorial for good reasons. Yeah. Yeah. You think Ben thinks that Tom Cruise would be a better leader. He makes less SPs, got to OT8, and gives money to COS. Yeah. I don't know. I think he already kind of is like a little, cult leader adjacent anyway. Little being the operative word. But anyway, they don't give out tutorials, but they do say that it's a complex, confrontational, very aggressive therapy. So, hey, DOA is a fraud. Good to see you. Um, and so that's where I have a problem with it. I don't like the idea of the confrontational and the aggressive and all that. It bothers me. And I'm skeptical of it working on cult leaders because they are not controlled by the teachings of the cult. It is them doing the controlling. So that throws me on the whole deal. When I started to do this, I really, really was praying that I would get some good information on how they could deprogram a cult leader, or just get them, even just with counseling and stuff, get them out of it. But I've really, really, really not found anything. So, But but at the same time, let's pretend for a moment that David Miscavige, for example, believes the whole mess, that he wholeheartedly believes everything. Every single word that LRH said, would they be able to deprogram him? And so that's kind of what that was the question that I was really wanting to get answered, and I'm still not there. So number 2, is it legal? Not normally. So they're calling it involuntary deprogramming of adults, and it's generally considered not only unethical but illegal. except under a conservatorship. Yeah, where is pizza? Yeah. So, so an example, okay? So, like, if Britney Spears, while she was under her conservatorship, if she had joined a cult, say she, got mixed up and joined Scientology, she potentially could be put through deprogramming because even though she's an adult, she, had a conservatorship, and so if her conservators came in and said that this is what we want done, then it could be done. But just like you or me that's not under any kind of a conservatorship, probably not gonna be legal or ethical. And even with, like, Britney, if she was in a cult and, in her conservatorship, which she wasn't, but if she was, um, because she's the only person that I know of that I can, like, you know, that was in a conservatorship. So anyway, but if she was, there's a possibility it's legal, but it still might be. Yeah, it becomes kidnapping. Very, very true, Ben. Yeah. So, I don't know how my friend's family did it. Hey, literally no one. Good to see you. Yeah, you're gonna watch the replay. That's fine. That's what I have to do a lot. So Nicole's putting up pieces of pizza. Are you still looking for pizza? I'm not sure where he's at. Are we like hunting him down? Did he come in and I didn't see? I know that they did it, so I don't know if it was legal where they were at or if they took him somewhere where it was legal. I don't know how they did it. They never would go into the specifics. They were very hush hush about it. The only reason that I knew was that when he came back, not immediately, but after a while, whenever they wanted to test him out, I mean, he was an adult at this time. Um, they wanted to test out him living on his own again, and because he wanted to live on his own, you're like, I'm fine, I want to live on my own. And so, they got him an apartment in the same complex that myself and my ex husband were living in, and so they came to me, and they were like, "Could you here's all of our contact information. Could you, um, if you see anything weird, can you just let us know?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And so he and I would do laundry together, and we would like there was a little park there at the apartments, and so if we'd go do laundry really early, and there wouldn't be any kids, or the kids would be in school or something, and we'd sit in the swings and swing, but we never talked about it. Hey, Eric, good to see you. We never talked about it. So, once he came out of the Branch Davidians and went through his deprogramming, I don't know if he's ever talked about it. I've considered, talking to his sister, we're good friends, and seeing if she thought that he would, come on the show because y'all would just fall in love with him. He is a complete nut. He's so funny and handsome and smart, and you just love him. But I don't know if he ever would, but we could see. I'm gonna try, I think. So anyway, number 3 is effectiveness. So it might not come as a surprise whether it's effective or not seems to be up for debate too. And again, I think that that goes into whether they really are indoctrinated into it, really truly believe it, or if they know that it's a bunch of crap. And also, what is the indoctrination? Because just because they're in a cult doesn't mean that they necessarily believe everything. They might just be afraid to leave because they don't want to give up their friends and their family and their jobs and their home and everything. Because I think about that and I just cannot even imagine. Yeah. Also, the skill of the operator doing the deprogramming. That's very, very true and very. So, number 4, there are alternate approaches, and the one big alternate approach that I am way more of a proponent of, I like it more, is exit counseling. They said that it's more ethical and it is often more effective, and that, again, deprogramming is intense, and it's kind of scary, y'all. I mean, it's very, very just it's a lot where, it's like that, but exit counseling takes place over, months, years, even decades, and kind of helps them along the way with what what's troubling them at that time. And so, they're saying that that's actually a much better way to go through it. And it's a gradual supportive process. Again, though, you got to have a good therapist, because I know people that are, in therapy, have been for years, and I'm just like, is it doing any good? I mean, and not just with cults and stuff. I just in general. So, number 5 are the legal and psychological risks. Yeah. Deprogramming, especially when it fails, y'all, can lead to considerable legal and psychological risks, not the least being permanent alienation from family. If it fails, it tends to create even more of an us against them feeling about everything, and they usually go back, or they get in another cult, and they don't want anything to do with the friends or family that got them into all this to begin with. And we're talking about the deprogramming part. Um, it was taken out of their hands, because when you're talking about deprogramming, a lot of it is against their will. And that really, really, really bothers me. The whole thing of, to me, and I've never been in a cult, so I don't know. Eric would know so much more. Um, they've already they've been in a cult where they were controlled and told what to do and think and, eat and everything. So to me, it has to be terrifying to come, out of the cult, especially if you're kidnapped out of it. Like, I think about my friend, and somebody grabs him, puts a thing over his face, gags him like a, thing in his mouth where he can't scream, and gets him out of there, can't talk, and then takes him someplace, and they go through this intense deprogram deprogramming, and that has to be terrifying. And I think that with my friend, he wasn't in it for that long, it was just a few years, but what about these people that were born in? I cannot imagine. I mean, and I wanna do anything and everything we can to get them out, get them away from there, get them healthy, and let them live a happy, wonderful life. But I'm scared. I'm really scared of the whole deprogramming thing. But it says that since it is most often forced or coerced at very least, then, you dropped it like it was hot. Well, good for you. And I really do wanna have you come on, Eric, and talk about it too. So, I would just love to hear your story. I've heard it some, but I'd like to share it with my audience. So, let me know if you're ever interested. You can pick a day, just about, unless I have somebody else coming on that day. Anyway, then it listed some cult leader characteristics, and I thought these were interesting. I think we all pretty much, can figure it out, but it said cult leaders often exhibit cluster B personality disorders. I didn't know what cluster B personality disorders were. I was really just kinda like, "Okay," so I had to go look it up. And it says that it is characterized by dramatic, emotional, or erratic behaviors. Cluster B includes antisocial personality disorder, borderline personality disorder, histrionic personality disorder, and narcissistic personality disorder. And they often have a strong desire for admiration, and they have a absolute lack of empathy. So, that I think pretty much sums up most of the cult leaders I've ever, looked into. So number 7 is legal recourse, and sadly, there are no specific laws against cults, and I think that that is crazy. I It's because so many of them fall into the whole religious freedoms thing. They just truly that's how they get by so much. But there are laws prohibiting certain kinds of conduct that can be used by members or even former members to bring penalty or criminal penalties or civil remedies against cult leaders, which I think would be so interesting to see some of these, the cult members, the ex cult members. I'm gonna sneeze, y'all. I'm just like trying to not do it, but I would like to see some of them sue Miscavige. I would like to see how that goes. I don't know that it would go well in, Florida or California, but maybe some of the others. I would really be interested to see if, if they've had a lot of those kind of cases. I haven't found a lot, but that doesn't mean they exist, which is also on my list to go and look up. Number 8 is listed as conspiracy theories. And in recent years, a lot of cult deprogrammers have have not only been deprogramming cult members, but they've also been deprogramming people that buy into some of these huge conspiracies, these conspiracy theories. And, we all know that some conspiracy theories turn out to be true, but the majority of them are just somebody trying to stir up crap. And in the age of the internet and everything, it just seems like it's gotten so much worse because, you know, everybody's got a platform. Everybody can, put it out there, and sometimes it takes hold, and, it's just crazy. So, yeah, in fact, I know I often bring up my brother. Oh, you guys, he got on this kick, and I think he's past it because I think he got tired of me just ripping him a new ass over it. But he literally got on this kick where he was believing the conspiracy that Sandy Hook did not happen, that it was all actors. And so, I'm just I was like, I was like, we know people that were affected by it. Merrily, your dad was a complete conspiracy theory nut. A lot of people are, and I get it. And some of them are kind of fun to kind of, look into and do a deep dive and see if you can prove it right or wrong or whatever. But I don't know. There's some crazy ones. So, yeah, I'm not real big into conspiracy theories, but I am, yeah, I know. I think he's quit believing that, Dee Dee. I think. I don't know. If he hasn't, then he's quit saying it to me. Because he knows that it doesn't get him very far. I'm just glad my dad is, like, not like that. Because a lot of people in my dad's age group, um, are, really into conspiracies, and so I'm I'm shocked, really. I mean, I live in a little rural town in Oklahoma, and, yeah, I'm kinda surprised that he doesn't. Sue B says, "My granddaughter's mother once dated a flat earther. Odd guy." Yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's mm. So, y'all, while I'm not against deprogramming exactly, because I do believe in my heart that it saved my friend, I really do. I'm still really just uncomfortable with it, and I'd like to know how you all feel about it. I think that what I equate it with is conversion therapy for, like, for homosexual individuals that they're gonna, basically scare the gay out of them. I have a friend that went through that. So I have a friend I have different friends, but I have a friend that went through the deprogramming for a cult, and I have a friend that went through electric shock and conversion therapy because he was gay, and he's still very gay, and I know what he went through, and it just oh god. Um, he was put through the conversion therapy process by his family and his church that he and it's just a little country church out here, not the same one I went to, but a lot of my family went to it, and some of my family participated in it, and I am just yeah, but not surprisingly, it failed. He's still very gay, very happy, married, has a great life, great job. In fact, he owns his own business. He's great. He's just absolutely great. And but his relationship with his church and his family and everything absolutely failed. He does not talk to them, and I don't know. I hold grace for his siblings because they were raised by the same wackadoodle parents that he was raised by. But I don't have grace for the parents because there is absolutely nothing, much less saying that my child was gay or that my child was in a cult or, anything like that, that would make me not love my child. If my child murdered somebody, I might believe that they deserve to be punished, but I'm still going to love my child. And so I don't know. The only thing that I think that maybe I wouldn't have any forgiveness for would be like some kind of, child molestation or something. I or murder or something of a child. I don't know that I could forgive anybody of that. And I don't know that I would forgive my child of a lot, but I would just still love them and I could not just like throw them out on the street, which is exactly what they did with my friend. And he was I don't know, 17, I think, years old and he was out on the street. So, his dad actually told him that he would rather hear that he was dead than that he was gay, and I no. So, it goes against my Christian beliefs, y'all. I don't know about your Christian beliefs or non-Christian beliefs, whatever, just your beliefs. I don't know. I don't know if it goes against y'all's, but I just couldn't do that to my child or any child, actually. I've kind of adopted him in a lot of ways. I told myself, "I'll be your mom." And so he's always like, "Oh, here's Mama Susie." So he might come on sometime and talk about all that. He does that for part of his job is that he counsels and helps out kids that have been thrown out of their home because of being gay or, something. Not just that, but for that's where he gets a lot of his clients is that. So anyway, so y'all, that is my issue with deprogramming is I just think that it's too controlling after they've already been in a controlling situation, and I just can't do it. One True Morb says, "I feel like the difference between cult deprogramming stuff like conversion therapy is the level of empathy and support. One is necessary for the safety of an escapee. Conversion is torture." True. What he went through, and he's told me step by step what he went through, and I I can't even talk to some of my family anymore just because they were participants in it, and the things that were said to him and how he was treated, and I mean, he was hit, he was locked in a closet, he was there was a lot. There was a whole lot. He was tied up, there was a lot. There was a whole lot. Anyway, so I that's what I've got for today. I just wanted to see kinda what you all thought about it. I, like, really am interested. Ben Bacon hold on just a second. Mischief might not be here, but she will watch it on the replay, and she still gets on to me if I don't put the comments up. Ben says, "I also know someone who was able to lie his way past state therapist to get disability. Yeah. So I know there's a lot that aren't good. If I could detect it, there is no excuse. Yeah, I understand that. Dee Dee's gotta go to work. Thank you. I'm so glad that you think we're a positive platform. Some people think that we are not, but sometimes you gotta talk about hard issues, and so, that's just how it is. Nicole says, "Ben, my therapist died. His cancer came back again over a year ago. I loved him like the father I never had." Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah. Mm. Gosh, you guys. Yeah, I'm sorry you lost him too, Nicole. I really am. Yeah, we hope to see Dee Dee again soon. I'm always thrilled to see somebody new in the chat. I really am. Mm. So, anyway, guys, I think that's all I've got for today. I've got to get some stuff done tonight and get ready for the show tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be interesting, I think. We're going to talk about, does YouTube kind of encourage grifting? And we're not talking about any certain person. This is not like a thing where I'm talking about anybody. It is literally just a generalization. I'm interested to see your all's thoughts on that. And another thing that I'm really gonna do tomorrow is I'm gonna break down. See, that does not make sense. I'm gonna break down. I've been told 3 times in the last week, y'all, that that I make all this money on YouTube. That I'm getting rich on YouTube. And so I just want to break it down how they do it, how they pay and what they take, because they take a lot more than what people think they take. And it's crazy. So I'm going to present that and my thoughts on if they are kind of setting us up to be grifters in a way, or some people, if you've got that tendency, would it be, you know, would you be more likely to do it if you've already got that tendency, or if you need the money that much more or whatever. So I'm gonna look at it that way. And again, not talking about anybody. I know I'm always, laughing and stuff on my little fake videos that I make about, Reese and stuff, but I'm really not talking about her on this. Not talking about anybody. I'm just following the facts, y'all. Following the facts. uh, Marilee says, "My dad wasn't a great dad, but he managed to become a better person as he aged." Yeah. My dad was always a really, really busy, busy guy. And then but now there is nothing that he wouldn't do for me or any of his family now. Hey, Cosmic, good to see you. We're just about to end for today, but so you'll have to catch us on the replay. But it's good to see you, and I hope you come back. I am gonna, when I get off of here, before I go do anything else, I'm gonna go try to figure out if I can get a link for how people can join, memberships on here. Um, so that's what I'm gonna be doing before I forget. But anyway, I will see you all tomorrow and hopefully the next day. Um, Carrie is gonna be here and talk about her experiences with the Catholic Church schools on Friday. And next Thursday, we have Lord Kiss Freak is gonna be here. So everybody have a good night. Mark those calendars or whatever you do, make sure you're here. Yeah, Carrie, I can't wait to talk to you Friday. You have a great rest of your day too, DOA is a fraud. All of you have a great rest of your day. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow.